All right, we're here with Kirk from CROWBAR. How are you?
Doing good, man.
Great to see you as always. Back at the Whiskey A Go-Go, the home of just a few thousand shows here.
Yeah, actually, I was telling my stepson that he came out with some friends of ours for this West Coast section of it, and I was telling him today, and he's like, "This place really famous and all." I said, "Dude, everybody's playing."
Zeppelin,
Yeah,
AC/DC, and Judas Priest, and
yeah.
I remember, of course, Motley Crue lived right across the street. They started here.
I didn't know they lived there.
Yeah, no, two doors up.
Oh, wow.
When the Crew played, they just said the party will continue right here.
Yeah, you gotta love that.
If you watch behind the music, it was all documented.
I read that.
Van Halen, everybody played here.
Oh yeah, so it's very legendary. So it's good.
Yeah,
to be
of course,
back
from the punk to the best of the metal.
Yeah.
So now New Orleans, what is it about that part of the world? Obviously, it's got a great musical heritage, legacy. What does it mean to you?
It's weird. I don't know, man. It's very strange. It's such a. I mean, it is a great music town, of course, but it's such a small, tight-knit community. New Orleans is basically an island. It really is. We're surrounded by fucking swamps, a river, and a lake. So it's it's real small geographically, and it's just weird. I mean, it's not even that big of a city, but there's so much talent, and even with the heavy music scene, it's so weird how many bands came out that have been around for so long now, but that are so influential on certain genres, that we kind of have our own little subgenre of New Orleans stuff. Yeah. Even though we always talk about it, it's documented very well, and that thing that Noisy did with the documentary about the New Orleans music scene, Yeah. But it's weird because nobody sounds like each other, but they all have something in common. It's kind of strange.
So it's a place to be yourself.
Yeah, and most of us have jammed with one another at some point in time, in and out of bands and switching band members and whatever the fuck. Obviously I wasn't down for 22 years, but Jimmy Bowers, me and him started out CROWBAR when it was called Slugs, and he started out God, of course, and he was in and out of CROWBAR a couple of times, and Sammy from Godot was in for a while, and it's weird. I mean, we've all jammed around with each other since we were kids, really. So there's no explanation. People always ask. We always just say it must be something in the water. I don't know, because we don't try. We all grew up listening to the same type of shit, and we all grew up basically the same. I'm probably the oldest. I just turned 50, but like Mike Nine, his birthday is the same day as mine. He just turned 49, so. We're all up there. I think Phil will be 47 this year. Pepper, I think, is 48. Jimmy's about 46 or something. So we're all close enough in that age group. Yeah. And we all just grew up on the same shit, went to the same shows together, and we all started our own bands, and at one time or another, jammed with each other or toured together and stuff like that. So at this point, I think it'd be really cool to do some kind of thing with Down and CROWBAR and I God and whatever, Go to War or Soylent Green or something, so we'll see. Time will tell.
Yeah. Well, I guess it's definitely a city that thrives on original music, as opposed to you get out in the suburbs and other cities, covers. But again, there with the musical, the jazz and everything, it's just it's be yourself.
Yeah.
Now, did Phil originally come from there? Because obviously his band was from Texas.
No, he was born and raised.
Okay. So he moved to Dallas to join Pantera.
Exactly.
So he came home to form Down.
Exactly. He actually we formed Down before he came home.
Is that right?
What it was is as soon as he was able to, started making enough money to move back to New Orleans and buy a home, that's what he did. Which was in the early '90s. But we formed Down in '91, and it was weird because at the time Pepper was living in Raleigh, North Carolina, which is where CLC's based, and Phil was living in Arlington, where Pantera was based, and they happened to, we talked about this all on the phone and shit. We had it all planned out, and the two of them flew in, and we kind of picked them up around the same time at the airport, got a bunch of beer and whatever, went to a friend of ours' garage, and that was let's just say it was a Saturday and a Sunday. Yeah. By Sunday night, we had a 3-song demo of Bury Me in Smoke, Temptations' Wings, and Losing All. and the rest is history, really.
So it just clicked, the riffs were flying, and came together pretty quick.
And it's like that with all the bands, with all the guys that I've jammed with.
Yeah.
It's you never have to think about anything or overthink anything. It's just
if you got to force it, it's not meant to be.
I mean, the best stuff I've written, the best riffs, I just start playing something, and it's either good or it sucks, or whatever, or somewhere in between. But
every once in a while, I got to polish it, but otherwise, it's what comes out naturally.
That I'm like, wow, this is a good riff, then I work on it, But it's either good or it's not. But I mean, if I'm sitting there fucking with something for more than 30 minutes and it's not clicking, I'm like, that one's going in the garbage. So
amazing. Now with the record Symmetry in Black, what number is that? What album?
10.
10 albums.
10 full-length real records. And then we have an EP and countless re-releases of 2 albums, stuff that.
But 10 full albums.
Yeah, 10 full real records. So
what's the mindset going into a new record? Obviously, it's the evolution of whatever songs you have, but what is the mindset on this album? Any goals in mind as far as what you're trying to achieve creatively?
My biggest thing, like going into we'll getting ready actually to start writing for number 11, but going into Symmetry in Black, I had parted ways with Down, and they were moving in their own direction, and I was like, wow, this album's probably the most important album I've ever done. So it was really just to make sure, that it was as good as we could make it. To me, it's a very good blend of everything that Crowbar is. Some of the riffs, some of the vibe could be stuff from the early days of the band, but it still sounds fresh. It sounds new, but not bringing in we're not bringing in modern elements. Yeah. Just expanding on our original influences a little bit and taking some more from the original. Because we all listen to so many different styles of music, and me especially. I mean, one of my favorite genres is 70s, like kind of soft rock. And when I'm like in a bar, I play a lot of that. Well, as I get tipsy, I start popping in the Motorhead and the fucking Trouble and whatever, Sabbath. But
now, what is it about that music? Is just the soothing elements?
It's melodies. It's music. I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just.
It's something you can sing in the shower.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I about shit. We've been going. I guess about 3 or 4 weeks ago. I drove my poor wife crazy, but it was a Sunday. I had absolutely nothing to do. Said, fuck it, I ain't doing nothing today. Went and got like a case of beer, and I had the entire Midnight Special collection, every performance ever, and did a marathon of it. Yeah, did a whole marathon of it. And I'm watching bands like England Dan and John Ford Coley, and
Seals
watching
the
Todd
River
Rundgren
Band,
do Hello It's Me, and all
ELO.
I'm watching all of it. Fleetwood Mac, the Bee Gees, everything. I'm watching, and I'm like, this is every fucking band back then. Every person played their ass off. Everybody sang their ass off. Everybody had 3-part harmonies. It sounds incredible. I mean, fucking John Denver something. Everything. Everybody was. It was real talent, and real songs and real music.
Some of these guys built a career on that one hit.
Yeah, a lot of.
They're still touring today with the one song.
Exactly, and but it was great. I mean, I enjoyed that. That's something that influences me. I try.
So it kind of balances it out. So when it's time to go hard, it's kind of like a hill and valley. You're not hard all the time.
Well,
so you don't get burned out.
Yeah, I don't listen to a lot of heavy stuff when I'm in my writing mode. I listen to a lot of. Although I listened to a lot of Typo Negative during the writing process, and this one just by accident. I mean, they're one of my favorite bands. Yeah. But I happen to listen to a lot of that. But in general, I remember like when we wrote Broken Glass. That was in 1996, I think. And I was on a big like going to band rehearsal to write every day. I was on a Seal and a Sade kick. It was one or the other. And it's kind of, people are like, what the fuck? And I'm like, no, but it's great songs. Yeah. It's great, it's brilliant songwriting, and it's great music.
It's what works for you.
It's like, yeah, I mean, it might be the, a huge oxymoron in some type of way, but, I get more influence out of listening to, like, I can listen to that and then go into the rehearsal room and come up with these crazy heavy riffs, and I don't know how it works that way. It just does.
Well, what it really comes down to is there's only two kinds of music: music that moves you,
yeah,
music that doesn't.
Right.
Who cares what
people
category
what kind of music do you listen
what you're
to?
supposed to?
Good music. I don't give a fuck what style I listen to. Funk, I listen to jazz, I listen to blues, I listen to fucking whatever. I mean, I'm not that much on like the death metal and black metal type stuff, but there are a couple of bands, a couple of the older death metal bands that I do really like a lot, and but I listen to anything that inspires me, really.
Well, that's what it's all about, is what you can draw from.
Exactly.
Your music obviously doesn't sound like that music, but that music inspires you.
Yes.
Because you can always roughen up a song, even typo negative's got melodies.
Right. Oh, of course.
Of
course.
You can make it harder and add crunchy this and that.
See, that's my thing. Is the older I get, it's got to have some kind of hook. It doesn't have to be fucking whatever. I want to rock and roll all night. Party every day type hook. But it's gotta be a song. It can't just be a bunch of
memorable.
Riffs. Right. It's got to have key changes. It's got to have a bridge. It's got to have some kind of hook that gets you. And that's what I try to add or try to build on as I get older and as I continue to write more songs. I mean, now I've played on 16 albums, record. I call them albums. With the 10 with Crowbar, 4 with Down, and 2 with Kingdom of Sorrow. So I mean, that's dating back to 91 or whatever when with Obedience Through Suffering. So I mean, that's a lot of songs, a lot of music, a lot of riffs. And
of course.
You always try to, you try to, I guess, age like a fine wine or whatever. You try to take everything you learned and just take it a step up each time.
Yeah, make it keep it classy and
totally.
Write something memorable. Talk about your collaborators like Jamie Jasta. Working with him, what is that like? What elements do you pull from or learn from with him?
With him, it's more like he writes pretty much all the Hatebreed stuff and all. He ain't the greatest guitar player in the world. Let's just put it that way. No disrespect, I love you. So what he'll do is come up with this riff that's badass. So, and he'll be like, I go, how's that going? And show, and he'll go here. He goes, Kirkify it. You take that riff and do something. And then a lot of times I'll twist it up and he'll be like, yeah. And I'll go, how about this? And I'll build off of a riff that he would have, and a lot of times I'll have a riff, and he'll go, "Oh, what about we do?" We work together. But I think I'm pretty good at if somebody has an idea, because I try to approach it all with an open mind. Like, it's difficult sometimes to collaborate with people. You have to have an open mind because everybody automatically has myself included, tends to believe that their riffs are the best, or whatever. I got this riff, I got one too, mine, whatever. So like when I was in Down, for instance, collaborating, I learned to shut my mouth, honestly, and this is a positive thing, this is not bad, and listen, because a lot of times, say Pepper would throw something out or Phil or something, and I'd be like, I don't really get it, but I'd go along with it, and then it would click, and I'd go, now I get it. So you have to have an open mind and listen. I mean, there's a couple of songs and a couple of riffs and things that I've written where, whether it's Crowbar, Down, whatever, and everybody's kind of looking, and then, they'll be like, oh, no, I hear something, and then when everybody else kind of gets it, then it clicks, and it's there, But you have to have, with collaboration, you have to have an open mind.
Yeah.
Because,
it's a balance.
Yeah, but it's hard to, like I say, it's you can hear something and think it's good, but go. I guess it's human nature, or as a songwriter, it's a natural thing to go, well, I wouldn't do that. Like in my head, I'm thinking I wouldn't do that. I'd do this instead. And I'm thinking, but I'm like, well, let me keep my mouth shut and see where this goes. And then if you do keep an open mind, you end up. I mean, as long as you're working with talented people, which I always have, thank God. They're full of great ideas.
Different parts of the stew.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, it's that, sometimes there's headbutting, but it's that open mindedness that lets you and allows you to use, I guess, to take the best of what everyone has to put in to the stew.
Oh yeah.
The gumbo.
Great combination, no doubt. And again, working with Phil, obviously it's been an amazing ride both of you been on, But what is that collaborative process back in the day, you know, with Dan? What was that like? What would Phil bring in? Would he add the lyrics to the top of it, or bring in some of the ideas?
Well, my biggest thing that I learned from Phil, and I've said this in interviews before, is he's the best song arranger I've ever worked with. Like, he knows how to make it flow. He knows when to stop, when to start, when to change gears, when to, you know, when to choke, when to do whatever. You know, he's just got a natural gift for arranging songs and writing riffs as well. But the biggest misconception with Phil is people will be like, man, how is it working with Anselmo, man? It must be tough, huh? I'm like, actually, he's the simplest person in the world to work with, because he's very open-minded and listens to what everybody has, and then says, listen up, fellas, let me, you know, why don't we try this? I like that, but let's do this, blah, blah, blah. And everybody listens to him, and we're like, hey, you're right. You know, so he's actually one of the easiest people I've ever collaborated with, really.
Yeah.
I mean, on the occasions that I have sat down with just me and him, for instance, with something, I had a couple ideas, he had a couple ideas. Those things turned out really well, and it was really very simple and just like, you know, I mean, you know, we have a mutual, you know, great, brilliant friendship and love and mutual respect for one another. So, of course, you know, it's not a competition. We're trying to use what we both have to create something, make it the best we can make it. So he's really extremely open-minded to work with, and as far as listening to other people's ideas. And a lot of people kind of are taken aback by that, and they're like, really? And I'm like, yeah, dude, he's actually like one of the nicest dudes I've ever met in my life. So, you know.
And what was the story? I mean, the legacy obviously they did with Pantera was amazing. To leave that, was the thought part-time he was going to go back, or was there something missing that he needed to build elsewhere?
Without trying to speak for Phil or Rex for that matter, I just think that they all felt like, hey, that train never stopped rolling. I mean, when that motherfucking Pantera hit the tracks at 1,000 miles an hour, it never stopped for the entire time. Until they stopped, you know, when they stopped the touring cycle for Reinventing the Steel, that's when Rex and Phil were like, we're going to take a break. Well, you know, we all know what happened with Don. God rest his soul.
So at the time, it was just burnout. He needed to switch gears.
I think at the time, they were doing the shit since they were kids, and working their asses off. And then when they hit it, and it got so big, and they were the biggest metal band of our generation, you know, basically, you know, of our age group, and it's like they needed a break. But I think in the back, like I said, I'm not trying to speak for the guys, any of the guys, but I think in the back of their minds, they all figure, you know what, you know, one day down the road, since we've all stepped away from this, and
come back refreshed.
Right, we'll all get in the room, beat each other up, get drunk, and start it all over again. Go out and fucking be the baddest fucking metal band on the planet again. And you know, unfortunately, that could never happen. So but I think that's from speaking to the guys. I think that's what they thought would happen.
Well, coming out here to L.A., obviously, again, another musical heritage like the Whiskey and the Roxy and so many of the great clubs and bands that have come from here. What was your first journey out here? Do you remember coming out to California, and what were your impressions, just the whole creative, you know, space and the beach and all the hills out here?
I came out, me and a couple of friends flew out here in, I want to say like January or February of 1985. Kiss, 85 or 86. I think 85.
Okay.
Yeah, it was 85, I believe. And Kiss and Wasp were supposed to be playing at the Forum or something. And the show got canceled. We landed here. This is back in the pace 80s. So we call our buddy that lived out here, and he's like, man, you're not going to believe it, the fucking show. And we're like, oh, fuck. You know, but we had seen both bands many, many times anyway. And we were like, well, fuck it. We're here for like 4 or 5 days. So it was really cool because at that point in 1985, it was really hitting. You know, you already had.
It was packed out here on the streets.
Oh God! I mean, you know, just being
all the clubs
dude that's a metal guy. You know, it was. I mean, I've always been more of a you know, the heavier stuff, of course. I mean, but I was also, when they first came out, I loved all the fucking LA bands. You know?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I love our early.
And you had Black Flag and all the hardcore bands.
All the punk stuff out here. So, I mean, but to me, it was kind of like, it was packed. It was crazy. Because it was really at the height. I mean, a lot of these bands were just, you know, a lot of the bands that came out of the 80s, kind of, you know, whatever you want to call it, hair metal type scene or whatever, were really just breaking and just getting big. Yeah. And the scene out here was crazy. So it was awesome. You know, that was 30 years ago now.
Yeah, amazing stuff.
Yeah, I was about, I think it was 85.
Yeah, I remember.
So I was loving it. I was just like, this is great, you know, going to, you know, the Rainbow and whatever. I mean, I don't even think we actually went and saw any bands. Oh, we did. We went to the Troubadour and saw, I'll never forget, and I do have a good memory. I think the band was called Bible Black, and they did a cover of Eleanor Rigby by the Beatles. That was pretty fucking amazing.
Wow, I remember that band.
We did go to the Troubadour. That was the one night we went to a gig. You know, we went to the Rainbow every night, like, you know, living out our, you know, oh my God, there's fucking Jimmy Bain. I remember running into, you know, whatever, fucking, you know, drumming for Crocus or something, you know, whatever. Just all of these guys are just out and about, you know, from all the bands. So we were all starstruck, you know, running into a couple of these dudes. So it was great, man. And then, see, I'm not, you know, I'm a New Orleans guy.
Yeah.
I mean, I travel the world. I think I played in 43 countries now, and I'm a New Orleans dude. But I do enjoy getting out. You know, I do enjoy traveling. I mean, you know, being out here is great. You know, I wouldn't, just me personally, I wouldn't want to live. It's a little different than what I grew up in.
Great place to visit.
Exactly. Love getting on the road and doing it. So
like
that's the beauty of being a traveling musician.
Sure. And like you say, so many creative people out here, whether it be filmmakers or producers or songwriters, or
I had a bunch
you
of
just
friends.
feel the creativity in the air.
Oh, I mean, it's fucking Hollywood. Yeah, it is.
Again, we got to get a little glimpse of this view. I mean, this is.
I've never been in this room.
Yeah, this is.
I thought this was like an apartment or something.
This was the Licorice Pizza right across the street. So when Nikki Sixx and Tommy Lee came out with the first Too Fast for Love, Vicki Hamilton was the manager there. So she took that record, ended up helping them, and then of course Imagine Guns N' Roses getting their deal at Geffen, which was across the street here.
Wow.
You know, I mean, it was all going down. You know, right here. But yeah, like you say, I remember the early days of Wasp over there in Burbank and all that, and them rehearsing, putting that stage show together with no air conditioning, just the most brutal, you know, of heat. But, you know, Blackie had a vision, you know, and of course some of their big shows were down here at the Troubadour, the whole, the Red Cross, the Blood Drive, the whole,
I mean,
the Rack,
I'm actually I bought the record the day it came out, because I had the Fuck Like a Bee single I got on import. I had the Kerrang magazine with Blackie on the cover, and I bought the record the day it came out, mailed in the fan club or whatever, and I'm sure I've lost it by now, but I was number 74 in the Wasp. It was 00074.
Wow.
I had my Wasp fan club thing, and I actually on the first, I saw him open for Iron Maiden on the Power Slave tour, which was the first Wasp record. I saw him in Biloxi one night and New Orleans the next night, opening for Maiden, and I actually got the towel, Blackie White, the blood, when he drank from the skull. So I was a huge early Wasp fan.
Right.
And I've seen him, you know, twice on that tour, and I saw him on, the second album. What the fuck's the second album? I can't think of. Wild Child album.
Oh, man. It wasn't Electric Circus, was it?
That was before that. Why the fuck can't I think of it? Anyway, yeah, with fucking Wild Child. Jesus, why can't I think of it? It wasn't Electric Circus, though. Yeah. Blackie was still playing bass.
Right.
They still have Randy Piper. But I saw him open for Kiss on that.
Last Command?
It was Last Command, with the flag or something.
That's
God, I'm getting old. But no, I saw him on that tour as well, and it was awesome. And I saw him at the House of Blues in New Orleans. Shit, it's probably like about 8 years ago, and it was, you know, it was just Blackie.
Yeah, of course.
But he kicked ass, and actually, when I was with Down, they went on. We played the Hellfest, and they went on right before Down on the stage, like the Hellfest in Clisson, France. It's two gigantic stages, they're both equal size. You know? Okay. And they just
go back and forth.
Yeah. I mean, like the last one we played Sabbath ended. You know, but like I did one with Down, and it was ZZ Top and then Kiss. You know, but it's equal stuff. But anyway, Wasp went on the one next to us, and as soon as I was like watching Wasp, and Bobby, who is the guitar player in Down now, Bobby Landgraf, comes running over. He's like, "Kirk, you're on." And I'm like, Wasp was just ending. I'm like, "Fuck, man!" I thought he's like, "No, get your ass over here." I run over there and literally just threw my guitar on.
Oh, wow.
Fucking ran out, and we had a great show. You know, I was pumped up about to see him.
Absolutely.
But yeah, so I mean, I'm a huge fan of all the early, you know, stuff from out here.
Yeah, it was great times. But Kiss, now Kiss was such a huge influence on so many bands. Our age, you ask these guys, Kiss keeps coming up. Now, obviously, the spectacle of the whole, you know, all the props, the effects, and all that is one thing. But what was it about Kiss for you? Was it more the music or more of this spectacle?
Well, you know what? I think, because like I said, I'm 50 years old. I was 10 years old when Kiss Alive came out, and somebody brought a picture of Kiss from like a magazine. You know, like a circus magazine or something.
Cream.
And of course, one of the good old, you know, classic ones. And of course, I was, you know, originally attracted to the look. I remember buying Kiss Alive, you know, and just, that's my favorite album of all time. I probably own 20 copies, you know, both on vinyl and cassette and CD and whatever. But, you know, of course I was attracted to the look, but the music speaks for itself, especially, you know, and I mean, I was a fan of Kiss through the, you know, Bruce Kulick, and, you know, like the 80s, Without Makeup.
Once a fan, always a fan.
Yeah, and I mean, I saw something on Facebook a couple of weeks ago, and Paul Stanley was saying, which he was saying, look, I don't think it's necessary for us to have to put out a new record in order to go on tour. And I totally agree. I had said something in an interview like 6 or 8 months ago, and I caught all kind of flack. And my thing was, I'm a Kiss fan, and you know, hey, what happened happened. And you know, I mean, for me, Ace was always my guy. You know, Ace himself said it about Tommy Thayer. Hey, you know, if I got nothing against him. If you know, if it wasn't him, it would be someone else.
Right.
You know?
He was lucky enough to get it.
If Kiss comes to New Orleans, I'm going to see him. It might, you know, even though it's just Gene and Paul from the original guys, you know, it's still great. But my thing was, I'm really not that big of a fan of the last few records. That's just my opinion. We all know about opinions. But I think that the tons and tons of great songs that they already have that are classics, I believe that that's why the majority of the fans go. I know that
it's not based on a new hit.
Right, it's not. I mean, and you know, I read Paul's. I haven't read Peter's book, but I read Paul Stanley's book. Even though he wasn't, Ace was always my favorite. It was kind of like Ace, then Gene, then Paul. But after reading Paul Stanley's book, he's actually my favorite member as far as a human being. Like I thought, I don't know if you read his book or not. It was very
real guy,
very inspiring. Exactly. I really respect the.
I mean, to find out he's deaf in one ear. I mean, how the hell you been doing that all these years?
Exactly, and you know, and it just, you know, growing up without an ear and all that, and you know, the whole thing, man, and you know, that had to be difficult, and I just, I really look up to him. I really respect. It gave me a whole new respect for him as a man. Yeah. I even showed my daughter an interview with Paul. I think it was from some Canadian thing or something. Somebody put it. It was like an hour-long interview, and I was explaining to her. She's 12. I was explaining to her about all that, and she's like, "Wow, that's so cool." And I really did. You know, the book really inspired me. Like, it blew me away. I had no idea what I was getting into. I read it on a European tour.
Nice surprise.
Yeah, and I was just like, wow. So it's like, you know, Paul talks a lot about, and I guess at this point, it really doesn't even make a difference about.
Well, yeah, why make a mediocre album just to tour? Unless it's in you, wait till you've got the song.
It's Kiss. It's been 40 fucking something years now. You know?
Yeah, it's not like they don't have enough material for a show.
No, I mean, if they toured, they still put on the biggest.
They never put out another song.
It doesn't. To me, they don't have to. And it's not that. I mean, I understand the need to, as a songwriter, because I mean, obviously, you know,
keep active.
Paul, one of the main writers, really Paul. You know, for a while, when you read the book, it seemed like he really carried the band for a good while. Really,
he's the musical heart.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, to him, hey, hats off. You know, I think that's wonderful. I made for keeping my favorite band of all time alive, you know. But he's even to the point where he wants to watch Kiss from the audience now. Like you know, they're really thinking about just keeping it, you know. And then if you think of it in that sense, it does make sense that you have the 4 characters. See, that's where I don't want to get too deep in this because I catch a bunch of flack.
Of course.
But I am a huge Kiss fanatic. So I think I had a right, after supporting them since I'm 10 for the last 40 years, to speak a little bit of my mind. But the thing is like we grew up worshiping, you know, all of my friends that love Kiss, and we were like the outsiders. It's like I didn't have an older brother; I had a younger sister. All my friends that, you know, had older brothers, all their older brothers thought Kiss was shit. They were right, you know, Zeppelin and a lot of the older stuff and whatever. And we, you know, we kind of had our own little group of dudes that were Kiss fanatics. But, you know, I grew up worshiping Ace, Gene, Peter, and Paul. I didn't worship the Catman, the Spaceman, the Star Child, and the Demon. And it took a while for me to maybe say, well, you know what, after all these fucking years and member changes and, hey, you know, it didn't work out with Ace and Peter. So I accept it now, and I still fully support them, you know. But I think it's kind of weird, but I kind of agree that at some point in time, it would be cool if Gene and Paul oversaw everything, and they did have a group of younger guys, that, you know, or even keeping Tommy and Eric.
Yeah, of course.
And getting a new Paul and a new
New
Gene,
bass player, new guitar,
and continue to you know, to
oversee it.
Play the classics, you know.
Yeah.
You do the Bob
I mean,
show.
they're obviously one of the few bands that could do it and not miss a beat.
Right, and it's kind of it's very unusual because of the characters. You know, and I was always thinking with a band like, you know, like a band like Slipknot or something, it's even more like if Kiss really did, like Slipknot, I mean, we all know their names and whatnot, you know, but it's kind of like, you know, if you, like with Kiss with the characters, if they really would have promoted it in a different way, it wouldn't have made a difference who was the character really, and it's very weird. I hope I'm not confusing you or anybody watching. But I was thinking that, I'm like, you know, if they didn't have names or whatever, it was just like, you know, the Spaceman.
Star.
It really wouldn't, I mean, it would make a difference, but, you know, anyway, I'm going nowhere with this.
Yeah, no, it's
I got off on my own.
It's amazing evolution, because like I say, you think back, whether it's a Wasp here or Kiss on some rickety little rehearsal hall in New York. I love the story when they got a horrible review that one of the first shows they ever did, the Village of Voice said, this is the worst act I've ever seen. And Peter and Paul and Ace were in the rehearsal hall. Gene hadn't gotten there yet, and they were all down in the dumps. They said, it's over.
Yeah.
And then Gene comes in and read it, and he said, that's fantastic. He said, who doesn't want to go see what someone called the worst ever?
Exactly.
You know, it's like a car wreck. You're going to slow down just to watch.
People want to, and it's true. And I mean, somebody's been posting a lot on Facebook a clip from one of their early reviews going, whoever these guys are behind the makeup, I sure hope they have a plan B or a day job or something, because they're not going to be around for, you know,
they won't last.
This will be gone in a flash of the pan, and you know,
one trick pony.
It's like, ha, man, 40-something years later, we're all talking about them right now.
Yeah, amazing. So I know we got a big show tonight. Tour rolls on, working on the 11th album. Anything else on the horizon? Anything on the bucket list you want to add to the mix as you roll out?
No, man, we're about a week and a half into this one, but this is a 37-day long tour, 34 shows, 10 in Canada, so we're still kind of just getting rolling full steam. But should be a great show tonight. You know, and we head over to Europe in the July and beginning of August. Some festivals and stuff, so that ought to be good. And other than that, just
and obviously it's a whole different world out there business-wise, but to the young bands, to the young guys right up the street, just like the early days, what advice do you give them? Obviously not on the business side, but how do they keep the mindset? How do they keep the chemistry? How do they find their own niche and persevere?
Well, persevere is the key. My dad told me a long time ago, because, you know, I'd already decided, I mean, I finished high school and I was like, gonna go to college, and I'm like, you know what? Fuck that. If I don't try to make it music now, I'm gonna hate myself for the rest of my life, because you can't go, oh, okay, I got this career, whatever, and now my kids are raised. Oh, I'm gonna go form a. I mean, you can do it, but it's gonna be playing cover songs or whatever. But you know, the thing is, my dad said he saw an interview with Dick Clark, and he said, what's the difference? You know, you're pretty much an expert. You've been around this, you know, your whole life. You've met everybody. You know everybody. What's the difference in those who succeed and those who don't succeed? Those who don't succeed. And he said, it's perseverance. He goes, if you're good and you believe you're good, keep doing what you're doing, and sooner or later, you know, if you quit, you gave up. See, my thing is, I love the journey. The journey is the fun part. Getting to the destination, like
sometimes there's not even a finish line. You got to enjoy the journey.
The journey is a thing that should never end, because I'm never going to be satisfied. Yeah. And that's the beauty of it. If I were to say I was 25 years old and I had a record that sold 10 million copies and I was living off that, I would have already reached the destination. Everything would be down from there. Yeah. But it's a very, like, my thing is,
the tortoise and the hare.
Exactly, and I say that all the time.
How many hares have come and gone, especially in Hollywood?
Slow and steady wins a race, and it's true. I mean, it's the same thing with actors and actresses and certain musicians. They don't get popular, or they don't reach their peak until much later in life. And it's
if they didn't enjoy doing it, they might have quit.
Exactly, and that's the thing. As long as I don't go backwards, it's fine. If I'm going
slow and steady,
stop for a little bit, it's okay. Or, you know, whatever. Really slow, but slow and steady wins the first race. Yeah. And that's the thing. My advice to younger bands is, if you believe in yourself and it's what you got, believe me, it's a labor of love. I don't give a fuck if I was making, you know, big money, and believe me, I'm not. It's still hard work, you know, and it's a labor of love. But it's what I love to do. Nobody. I remember Lemmy years ago saying, you know, with all the lawyers, the record companies, all the bullshit, all the managers, all the stuff that fucking over. This is fucking years and years ago. He said they can take your money, they can rip you off, they can do all that. None of those assholes can take away that hour and a half I got on stage every fucking night. That's what I live for. That's they can't take that from you. And that's the thing. If you love it that much, then fucking do it.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much, Kurt.
Absolutely.
Great to see you as always. Going to be a great show. We're going to spread the word on the new album. Appreciate it.